I was betrayed by my husband, with whom I'd been for 2 decades. He had been cheating with a woman who is 12 years younger than me. When I confronted him, my husband showed no remorse and said, "She's pregnant. I'll give you custody of our daughters, so please divorce me." This was so sudden that I was stunned, and I couldn't say a word. I told my daughters everything. But I was so shocked by what my daughters said next. "I'll make sure to make you regret what you've done." My name is Estelle, 45 years old. I met my husband Jay at a school club in university. He looked ordinary and serious, but when he was happy, he had a childlike smile. I developed feelings for him, and after 5 years of dating, we got married when I was 25. Between Jay and me, we were blessed with 3 children, and while we had a busy life with juggling parenting and work, 20 years had passed since we got married, in the blink of an eye. Currently, our eldest daughter is in college, the second and third daughters are in high school, and they are close like friends, talking about cosmetics and love, making our home always lively and bright. My daughters haven't become fully independent yet, but they are at an age where they could handle things on their own. Thanks to my daughters, who are willing to help me with household chores, I've been able to immerse myself in the job I love. The house we currently live in was handed down by my parents, so there are no mortgage payments left, and we are financially comfortable. Now I look forward to the days when I could spend more time with my husband as our daughters grow up. One day, I was drinking with Jay after dinner, and he started talking to me with a joyful expression. "Hey, Estelle. How about taking a trip together for our anniversary this year for the first time in a while? What's gotten into you all of a sudden?" "Well, Estelle, you've been working hard with housework and taking care of children, and we're financially comfortable, so I want to go on a trip just with you. For our 20th anniversary." I'm thrilled. Actually, I was thinking the same thing. Ever since the kids were born, we hardly ever went out to eat, just the 2 of us. The girls are at an age where they can take care of themselves, so leaving them alone for a few days should be fine, right? That's true. Now that it's decided, we'll have to plan our trip. I heard there's a hotel with a beautiful view from the balcony. We've been so busy all these years, so it'll be nice to relax at a hotel. Just seeing Jay so happy and excited, I too felt very happy. From then on, planning our trip, whenever I had spare time, during work breaks or on my commute, became my routine, and I felt that I was spending fulfilling days every day. One day, a month after we decided to go on a trip, I left work early and came home because we promised that we are going to make a plan for the trip. However, Jay, who would normally have returned before me, was nowhere to be found. He always gives me a call if he's going to be late, but there was no message even after 8 p.m. I tried calling him, and the phone rang, but he didn't answer. This had never happened before. So, I started to worry if he had gotten into some trouble or had been in an accident. Bad thoughts filled my mind, and I couldn't eat dinner due to anxiety. Then, around 10 p.m., Jay finally came home. "You're back so late. I was worried that something might have happened to you. Sorry for being late." With just those words, Jay remained with a somber expression and didn't say anything else. "Did something happen at work?" After a long silence, Jay slowly began to speak. "Estelle, there's something I need to tell you." "What's wrong?" "Listen to me calmly. I'm having an affair." "What? What did you just say?" "I said I'm having an affair with someone else." With this sudden confession, I was stunned, and I couldn't speak. I was confused, but I managed to say, "I can't believe that. You're having an affair." "Actually, I've been seeing her for the past year." "Are you kidding? You've never acted strange or anything." We were meeting in secret, on the days when you were late coming home. I've even lied about business trips. Enough. I don't want to hear this. When I finally regained my composure, Jay started talking again. I'm really sorry for betraying you, Estelle. But I can't start over with you anymore. We've been together for 20 years. It's not normal to suddenly say that you want a divorce just because you had an affair. What's really going on? Anyway, my feelings won't change, so I want a divorce. We were happily talking about our trip just recently. Have I done something wrong? I couldn't understand what Jay was saying at all. It felt like Jay became a completely different person from yesterday, and I kept hoping that I would wake up soon, if it was a dream. I wondered if there were other reasons for wanting a divorce, and various thoughts crossed my mind. Maybe he is hiding a serious illness and didn't want to worry me, or maybe he wants to take responsibility because he made a critical mistake at work. I couldn't understand why Jay had become like this, and with tears in my eyes, I began to question him. After a while, Jay started to tell me the truth. This is what Jay told me. His affair partner is a junior colleague at work, and she is 20 years old. About 2 years ago, she joined the company as a new recruit, and Jay, who was her senior, was in charge of her training. However, she had trouble learning the tasks, frequently making small mistakes, and Jay found her challenging to handle. Jay had initially thought she would quit within 6 months, but her determined attitude and refusal to give up touched his heart, and he began to look forward to her growth. After work, they often reflected on their day, and during breaks, they frequently discussed work. Apparently she looked up to Jay, without a single complaint. Around 1 year after she joined the company, Jay finished his role as her supervisor. Shortly after that, he learned of her successful involvement in a project as a key member, and he was genuinely happy for her, and invited her out for a meal to celebrate. They continued to have meals together a few times after that, and it seems their relationship eventually turned romantic. She needs me. I want to be there for her and support her as well. Jay spoke calmly about his affair partner's charm, and then dropped a bombshell. Actually, she's pregnant now. Pregnant? Whose child is it? It's mine. So, I'm thinking of taking responsibility and marrying her. What about our daughters? Our daughters have grown up, and we don't have to look after them as much as we used to, so they should be fine. I'll give you custody, Estelle, so don't worry. I plan to pay child support as well. How could he calmly talk about such an important matter, with a gentle smile on his face, especially when he's at fault? Does he think I'll readily agree to divorce if he gives me custody? I feel very foolish for worrying about him, that he might have a terminal illness, or he might have made mistakes at work. I reached the peak of anger and was shouting loudly. This is outrageous! Even if you say that, it can't be helped. Life is a gift. Moreover, the life which is about to be born is more important to me. If you started a relationship over a year ago, why did you talk about going on a trip with me? Do you have any idea how happy I was when you suggested it back then? Back then, I never thought she would be pregnant. So, if she wasn't pregnant, you would have gone on a trip while keeping the affair a secret? Unbelievable. What on earth are you thinking? We won't resolve anything by talking just the two of us. Tomorrow, I'll bring her, and the three of us can talk again. Saying that, Jay left the divorce papers, with only his name on them, on the table, and hurriedly left. He probably went to his affair partner's place. There's no need for him to hide anything from me anymore. Before long, my daughters came out of their rooms. It sounded like you were fighting. Are you okay? He suddenly asked for a divorce because he is having an affair, and now his affair partner is pregnant? You've got to be kidding me. I had been looking forward to today, which is the day we promised to talk about the trip. How worried I was that he was coming home late. How poorly does he think of me? Suppressing my uncontainable anger, I told my daughters, "I'm fine." The next day, Jay really brought his affair partner home. My daughters seemed curious, partly because of the incident yesterday, but when they saw Jay and his affair partner, they seemed to have grasped the situation somehow, and went into their rooms. His affair partner was led by Jay, and sat on the couch in the living room. As I took my seat, the woman whose name is Kiana apologized to me. "I'm really sorry for having a relationship with Jay, knowing he has a family." You knew he had a family and still engaged in an affair? This is beyond outrageous. Even if you are apologizing, that won't change anything. I understand that you are very angry, but could you please consider divorcing Jay for the sake of our baby? What? What right do you have to ask me to divorce him, prioritizing your child? When I saw her demand a divorce, as if it were a matter of course without any remorse, I couldn't hold back anymore and shouted, "Enough!" At that moment, she deliberately covered her mouth with her hand and said, "Ugh, I'm going to throw up." Next to her, Jay was patting her back with a worried expression. "Hey, Kiana, are you okay?" "I'm sorry. I'm feeling a bit nauseous. It must be morning sickness. Let me take you to the bathroom." "Thank you." When I suffered from morning sickness, he never once patted my back, let alone uttered comforting words. Jay's response to her was the gentlemanly behavior I had never seen before. Even when she came out of the bathroom, he took her hand and gently supported her with his other hand on her waist. "Kiana, you have a baby in your tummy. Don't push yourself and rely on me." "I'm sorry. I got scared by your wife's loud voice." "Estelle, can you calm down a bit and talk? Right now, Kiana is going through a delicate time." "It's okay, Jay. It's my fault." "No, you are not at fault. If that woman had just agreed to the divorce, it wouldn't have come to this. Please don't blame your wife. This is the first ordeal given to us. Kiana, you're kind. Yes, let's overcome this ordeal together." Like a scene from a movie, the two of them held hands and gazed at each other. When Jay called me that woman, that completely destroyed what little feeling I had left for him. This is ridiculous. I can't deal with this charade any longer. Ultimately, it's your fault for having an affair. Don't deflect blame onto me. I'm so disappointed in you. I'll grant your wish and agree to a divorce. As I thought that discussing with them further was pointless, I decided to agree to divorce and immediately drove out both Jay and his affair partner. After kicking them out, my daughters came out of the room. Although they had already sensed the situation, I decided to tell them everything, including what I had discussed with their father yesterday. "I'm sorry, as I just explained, your father and I are getting a divorce. You can decide for yourselves whether you will live with him or me. You don't have to worry about me." Upon hearing these words, they fell silent for a moment, and then my eldest daughter started speaking. "We want to stay with Dad, but Mom, please don't get discouraged and just hang in there." Not only Jay, but also my daughters would be leaving me. Even though I had told them they could decide for themselves, I was shocked, because I thought they were on my side. However, I respected my daughter's decision, and decided to grant Jay custody. A few days later, I contacted Jay, told him that I have something to tell him about divorce, and invited him to the house. "It's been a while. Have you lost some weight? Whose fault do you think that is?" I started talking about the matter after the divorce, to Jay, who had asked me that question. "I will properly claim alimony After the divorce. As for custody. Even though I had convinced myself repeatedly, and believed I was ready, the words wouldn't come out. I took a deep breath, and slowly composed myself. I'll grant you custody. Unfortunately, that's what the girls want, so I'll respect their wishes. As I said this, tears welled up, and I couldn't stop them. Jay looked surprised, in disbelief at these words. Just then, our daughters returned home from shopping. Are you sure you want to be with me? Wouldn't it be better to live with Mom? Judging from Jay's reaction, it seemed he had anticipated pushing me and our daughters aside to start a new life with his affair partner. Thinking about the future, Dad's financial stability would be reassuring. We'll manage with minimal allowance. Are we a bother if we want to be with you, Dad? Unable to push away our daughters, who not only didn't despise him for his affair, but wanted to be with him, Jay reluctantly agreed to have custody. Jay, who wanted to let go of our daughters, and our daughters, who desperately wanted to live with him. I could only watch this exchange helplessly, and I had a very heart-wrenching feeling. While Jay had custody, there was no child support to pay, since the cause of the divorce was his affair. I received lump sum compensation of $35,000 from Jay and $15,000 from his affair partner. The next day, I submitted the divorce papers, and the divorce was finalized. As for our daughters, they would primarily spend time at Jay and his affair partner's home. However, there was a condition that they could freely come to my house to stay. Yet, Jay and his affair partner lived in a small one-bedroom apartment, so I was worried that our daughters might feel cramped. A few days later, they stayed over for the first time since the divorce. According to them, things were going well over at his house. Mom, it will be your birthday in 2 months. Look forward to a surprise. Hey, did you know? Surprises have to stay secret until then. But I'll be looking forward to it. I was very happy just to have my daughters come to see me, even once a week. 2 months later, an unexpected pair suddenly stormed in. It was Jay and Kiana. Hey, what on earth do they think they're doing? I can't live with those selfish girls anymore. With their faces turning bright red, they complained while getting angry. Don't be so rude. All 3 of those kids are my pride and joy. What's so great about them? They say the food isn't good, they want to eat out, they complain every day, and on top of it all, they would order takeout without permission. And besides, our place is too small for 5 people, and they're noisy every day. Complaints have been pouring in from the neighbors in our apartment, and we'll have to move out by the end of this month. I really don't understand what you two are talking about. Those kids would never do something so bothersome. And they said that they only needed minimal allowances. Then why do we have to pay for the tuitions and school supplies? Well, as their parents, it's only natural for you to do that. You are the one who agreed to grant their wish to live with you, aren't you? Well. They became speechless, but after a moment of silence, Jay lowered his head and spoke in a small voice. Please, I'm begging you. Take them back. Huh? What are you talking about? We're about to have a baby. With this situation, we can't even properly take care of our child. So I'm asking you to take them back. Raising them, and raising the one about to be born, are both part of parenting. Don't give me excuses. Since when did you become such a heartless person who can't understand others' feelings? You're a terrible person. Jay raged and yelled. I let out a deep sigh and exclaimed, heartless person who can't understand others' feelings. Right back at you. What? Who is it that asked for a divorce after cheating and getting someone pregnant? Who betrayed their family first? Don't bring up old matters now. It seemed like he still hadn't realized how unreasonable his actions were. I had reached my limit with Jay, who kept blaming me along with his affair partner, even after I said that. For heaven's sake, realize how selfish you both are being. Don't just turn the page on something I'm not okay with. Have you ever thought about how we felt being betrayed like that? Of course, we're not okay with it. Yet you keep saying nothing but selfish things. But I've apologized for the affair many times. Anyway, please take them back. That's fine. They can't be happy if they live with a selfish scoundrel like you. In return, you'll pay child support until all of those kids turn 18. You'd better fulfill that responsibility as a father. I can't afford that kind of money with my current salary. Don't make excuses. Since you've done such terrible things to us, you'll be paying for it. There's nothing more to talk about, so get out of here right now. And never come near this house again. Jay sat there, with all his strength drained from his body. Then he muttered softly to Kiana, "Let's go." Kiana, who had been silent until then, suddenly slapped his cheek hard. Are you kidding me? I went into debt to pay the compensation, and now you're talking about child support? You've got to be kidding me. What's the point of me marrying you, then? What are you talking about, Kiana? The reason why we got married was to raise our child together, right? There was never a child from the beginning. Jay was struggling to understand the situation. What do you mean? I wanted to marry you because I thought you were rich. That's it. It was a lie from the beginning that I was pregnant. That's impossible. We paid compensation, and on top of that, now your wife is asking for child support. The house I was hoping for belonged to her, and in the end, I got nothing. I was stupid to expect anything from you. We'll divorce immediately. Don't say that, and please think it over again. Get out of the way. I'm leaving. With teary eyes, Jay clung to her, but Kiana kicked him away and left the house. Betrayed by his mistress, Jay finally seemed to realize his selfishness and begged for forgiveness. However, I had no sympathy left for Jay at this point and kicked him out of the house. As soon as Jay left, I called my daughters back home. In the following days, I went through the formal procedures to regain custody and demanded child support from Jay. For Jay, whose savings had been depleted by the alimony payment, paying child support for all 3 kids would be tough, but it serves him right. As for the aftermath of Jay and his mistress, one of their colleagues heard them when they were arguing at work, and soon everybody knew what they had been doing. As a result, Jay had his salary reduced and was relocated to a less favorable department. As for Kiana, she couldn't endure the cold stares from her colleagues and decided to resign voluntarily. Jay's current salary leaves him with very little money after paying child support, and apparently he is quite worn out now because there is nothing left for him after sending us the money for living expenses. When I shared this with my daughters, they smiled broadly, high-fived, and looked at me. Mom, happy belated birthday! Our present to you is payback for Dad. At that moment, I finally understood the reason why my daughters wanted to live with their dad who betrayed us, and why they were labeled as selfish by him. It was all for my sake. Thank you. I'm really happy with your present. But if you had planned something like this, you should have told me. I was depressed because I thought you guys had abandoned me, too. Then, my youngest daughter said, with a smile, Mom, did you know? Surprises are supposed to be kept secret until the moment